walking in my purpose on purpose, trying to let these young boys know it's worth it. These demons be lurking, traumatized by the crimes over time, but my mind keep me hungry and thirsty. My soul can't be purchased. Remember times when I was weak, you catch me crying in my sleep. Long nights, no lies, and no heat, but watch me rise to my feet without that iron or that heat. Watch how I grind to get me peace, and I shall find, cause I'm gon' see. It seems it's time to say my piece.
So today with us on Stool Talk, we're blessed to have the one, the only Miss Zahra Collins. Man, when you talk about this name right here, it's been girls that been through her program, been through her training, that she didn't coach, that then just said so much grateful things about her, how she taught them the game, how she taught them about life, how she was there, how she poured out her heart for them. And we need more people like this who's impacting the community, who's heart is really in it, like it's really there for the kids and even the development. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Ms. Zahra Collins, how you doing today?
I am good. How's everybody doing?
Good,
Thanks for
good,
having me,
man.
Anwan. I appreciate
Yeah,
my
man.
brother, my classmate, neighbor.
Right, man. But even growing up, like, man, you always been different, set apart. You always been focused. You always like been the main thing, no extra stuff. Like, you were really focused when a lot of times we were struggling as kids trying to focus with sports, school, life in itself. Like, where did that come from? Did that come from your family? Like, when did you have in your head, like, man, I'm gonna just be different, I'm gonna be focused, I'm gonna go after things and be intentional?
I think that comes a lot from just my parents, how we were raised, and just even, I didn't really join y'all until junior high.
Yeah.
So that first 6 years, we were at Catholic school, Christian school, Catholic school again. And then my whole thing was, well, no, I need to be well rounded. I want to go to Robinson. That's the school. And when I went to Robinson, that's when my younger brother and sister, they were able to go to Nathan Hill. But for me, it was what's next, and it was like, okay, well, Robinson is our junior high. I want to go to public school, and so it's like you can go to Robinson and you can go to Scott, but the minute you mess up, you right over there at Ursula.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was like, I really believe in like legacy and familial history and just being able to follow in those footsteps. And I'm like, well, my dad went to Scott, my brother went to Scott, I want to go to Scott too.
Yeah.
Uncle Donna went to Scott, Jody went to Scott. So when you think about just what's the expectations, that expectation was there. It was like, you're going to do well academically, you're going to do well in all of the things that you are trying to accomplish. And if you can't focus on all of the things you're trying to do, you're gonna have to get some stuff up. I wasn't trying to get nothing up.
Right. Right. Where did your journey in sports start at? What sports did you first start playing and how old were you?
um my first I played basketball and I was a cheerleader starting in like third grade. I was at
Okay.
Calvary Christian. And that's I was on the school team for Calvary Christian, and that was way back when. So like our uniforms, you bought your uniform. It was a reversible joint, and even I remember my cheerleading uniform. We made our cheerleading uniforms. Like we
Wow.
went to a seamstress, took her to the thing, and the cheerleading uniforms was made at the school. So third grade, I played basketball with. You remember Angela Carter? She
Sound
was
familiar.
yeah, the Carter sisters. I played with her, Keely Purnell. It was quite a few of us that were at Calvary Christian. Um, and so I played basketball with all of them, and continued playing. I went over to St. Jude for sixth grade, and I played for St. Jude in sixth grade. CYO. I remember being on the team, and then and that was basketball. We also played soccer. We played soccer at Calvary Christian,
Wow.
so I was on the soccer team there. And then I got to Robinson, and I didn't play at Robinson. I didn't make the basketball team. I didn't make the volleyball team,
For
and I
real?
did not make the cheerleading squad. No, I was the manager. Newsmeyer had her girls, but
Um,
I was one of Newsmeyer's girls. I just was one of her players.
yeah,
So I didn't play in junior high, and then but I was with the teams, and then come ninth grade, you know, we were playing. I played volleyball, and as freshmen, we were all playing JV.
yeah,
Um, and you had to remember, I'm also younger than everybody in my class. I'm the same age as you, so everybody in my class is a year older. So I was late blossoming in high school in terms of just overall. I was, tall and lanky, and I hadn't gotten that muscle yet. And
yeah,
so, but I just remember, just coming up through the years, and I ran track. I did run track at Robinson. I ran hurdles. I remember pulling a hamstring, coach, because Coach Black was our coach, and I ran a mile for him, and I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I ran a mile. But I also ran hurdles.
yeah,
That was my sprint, was the hurdles, and so um, I just remember, we played, and we all, our whole little group of people, we were all academic, and the
yeah,
athletes. That was the thing. The athletes were, your top scholars
yeah,
at Robinson and at Scott. And so I just remember going into Scott like, all right, yeah, I didn't play in junior high, but I know I can play.
yeah,
And I played volleyball, I played basketball, I ran for Oliver, and I was a cheerleader.
yeah,
I did all four things, and I did them until I couldn't do them anymore.
yeah.
Which was at the end of that senior year.
You spoke to something that I find very, very, like, we need to get back to that. Like you said, having your athletes be your scholars. What things could we do in the school systems or as parents or just overall to get that focus be the focus, and versus I just got a player that can play and I don't really care about his grades? Because we don't got a lot of Zahra Collins, Coach Collins. We don't got a lot of you. So the coaches that just want the wins, the coaches that just want to win championships, that just want the style and everybody to be supporting him, but don't care about the player or the athlete. What can we do to get that back?
Honestly, I don't know, because I don't know no coaches like, well, like, I don't know what other people do at other schools, but I
Yeah.
know what it's like at our school.
Okay.
And that is a huge thing that we focus on at Scott, is the academics with our athletics.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be to my own horn and be, just completely transparent, the last two valedictorians were volleyball players. The
Mm,
salutatorian the year before was a volleyball player. Those top scholars are, athletes that play sports.
yeah, love it.
Um,
Love
and so I don't know what they're doing in these other places, but you know, it's an expectation. When I
Yeah.
when I give out my team rules, is discipline, dedication, determination, and there are things in those 3Ds that we got to do. We have to make sure that you represent the school to the utmost. So it's not just what you do on the court; it's what you do in the hallways. I always tell my kids, you're not just representing you. You're not just representing your family. You're not just representing us. You represent me too. And if you can't represent me to your fullest, then guess what? I don't have any need for you.
Yeah.
So either we gonna get it together, or you just not gonna be here, and I'm okay, because I'm not begging anyone to be here with me.
Yeah.
This is sports is a privilege. It's an honor to play sports.
Yeah.
It's not a necessity. So either you gonna get the grades that you need to get, or you're not gonna be here.
Yeah. Recently did an interview with one of your former players, my goddaughter Heaven Williams, and we were talking about, being dominant in the sport, but still having options. Like you said, being a scholar athlete. I got the grades. You know what? I might not want to play volleyball at the next level. I'm gonna go on to my career choice, and not just pick a career choice that's just simple. I'm gonna go for one that's hard. I'm gonna work as hard as I did on the volleyball court in the classroom. So what you're saying is showing, like, even in your athletes, like I said. And what pressures did you have, being that your name held weight, like before I even like knew about the Donald Collins is your dad and your uncles. Like we heard stories about the Collins last name. Did that affect you, or did that just motivate you, or did you feel like, man, I got to do something because of all the names?
I think coming up, no, it wasn't I have to do something because of the names, but there was that expectation. I felt like I'm a Collins, so it was kind of expected that I played basketball. But everybody know basketball wasn't my first sport. Volleyball is my first sport. Cheering, cheering and volleyball, those were my two like main. That's where I excelled. And so it was like, well, yeah, I play basketball. I have an anecdote. So when I went to on my college visits, Coach Max, a roommate in college, was Walker. His last name was Walker. He was an assistant coach for Steve Alford for years at Iowa. And so when Coach Mack knew I was going to Iowa, he said, well, when you go for your visit, I want you to go meet Coach Walker. Rich Walker, that's his first name. And so I went to meet Coach Walker. We had an appointment at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and we went in behind the scenes basketball. And he said, well, you a Collins, so you must play basketball. I said, yeah, I play basketball, but that's not really my sport. He was like, so what's your sport? And I said, volleyball. He's like, well, let me take you down to meet Rita. And legit, I got a walk-on tryout because of who I knew, what my name was. Don't get me wrong. I sent her my video. I sent her my stats and everything. But that's how I got in the door. And so I was able to, go in and spend I went to school early August. Like we went in when the football team went in. And Iowa, you stay at the hotel for that first 2 weeks before you can move into the dorms. So I did the walk-on trial for 2 weeks, and I stayed in the hotel for 2 weeks with the team and worked out with the team. And it was the first year that she got a recruiting class, so she didn't take any of the walk-ons. She had 4 walk-ons that were participating in tryouts. 2 of us were freshmen, and 2 were returning players that she had taken from JUCO. And when I say she cut everybody, she cut everybody. I was like, I felt sorry for the girl who came from JUCO for her the year before, but she had gotten a recruiting class, and that's how Division I, Big Ten athletics work.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity to participate with the team and see what that collegiate aspect of sports was like. And then I went on with my major, which was what I was planning to do anyway. It was just a side detour, but it got me involved with the athletic side at Iowa. And that's how I got into coaching.
Okay.
So when you talk about that expectation was there. I don't think I actually I didn't really buy into it, so to speak, because it's like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But that sport over there isn't really my sport. So, but I play it. My cousin Taka, she went to Rogers.
Yeah. Shout out to Taka. I've been trying to coordinate with her if I can get her dad on too.
Yeah. Well, if you talk to Taka, then you can work that out. But like that was the thing. Like Tak played. She played volleyball, but she only played volleyball because it was something to do before basketball season. But she played basketball, and she went to school for basketball. That was her thing. And my cousin Tania, her younger sister, she played volleyball, and that was her thing. But Tania's a nurse. She go hard for the nursing, and been so for so long. But that was a thing. It's like, oh, your last name is Collins. Donald's your uncle. And I tell the girls all the time, I say, I'm up on the wall. My family up on the wall. We walk these hallways. What are you going to do here to be in that position later on? Yeah. So, just pushing through, with the kids, but nah, it wasn't pressure like that. Not serious pressure.
So, what was your first coaching job once you came from school? Was it at Scott or was it at a different school? It was?
No, my first coaching job, I was the freshman coach in 2006. And I did 3 seasons with Scott. So my first season I was the freshman coach. Okay. And then the head coach at the time resigned. and I ended up taking a head coaching position for 2 years following that first. So I did 3 years at Scott, like 2006. It might have been the 2005 season, 6 and 7 season that I was at Scott, coaching volleyball, and then I resigned from there. But I also, in that time, started coaching club volleyball because my whole thing was we knew that these girls play club volleyball all season long. They playing together all the time, and it was like it's illegal for them to do that. How are they doing this? And I remember our senior year, it was like Steph and Punky and me, and it might have been Snow and Snar. We all went to this club tryout, and when I say they never even called us back, like how they, they announced the team, the number one team, right then and there at the tryouts. And then everybody else was supposed to get an email saying, what their offer was and, whether or not they were put on a team. When I say we never got a call back or a reply from that team, it was like, what, it just kind of opened my eyes to it going into, and it was something that I remembered coming back. So as a coach, I made sure that I got with the club when I got back to Toledo, so that my girls could play club volleyball. And I want to say like probably my first 4 years of coaching club, I was coaching club for free because I was coaching and using whatever they were paying me to pay for the girls' fees that came from Scott that was playing club.
Yeah.
But so my first coaching job was at Scott, and then I was coaching club at Toledo Volleyball Club.
Okay.
And then when I left Scott, I kind of just went full blown into Toledo Volleyball Club. I was coaching early bird teams and some small regional teams, and then I started doing tournaments. And so I was being a tournament director, running tournaments. And at a tournament, one of the coaches who was the head coach at Stritch was like, hey, what do you think about coming over to Stritch for JV? And so I did 3 years at Cardinal Stritch as a JV coach before taking on a full-time position at Toledo Volleyball Club.
Okay.
I was business director.
Where did the Toledo Urban Volleyball Association start? Is that what that is, or did you start that on your own?
Totally different.
Okay.
So I left TVC in 2014, right before I took the head coaching job for cheerleading at Scott. I left TVC. I was still doing some tournaments. I run some of the largest tournaments in USA volleyball. But I was still, went out to the Olympic Training Center, was doing all of that. And what ended up happening was I had came away from club, and I just completely was like, I'm kind of over it. There were some things that happened. Just, you commit yourself to an organization and they don't necessarily, do the same thing to you. So there was some transition that was happening. And I just made the decision, like, I'm going to take a break from club. I was still doing tournaments, but as far as like being affiliated with a club, I wasn't affiliated with a club. I was consulting, and clubs were hiring me to run tournaments for them. So I did that for a couple of years. And then I was trying to get back into coaching. I probably was telling Queso for like years, hey, I want my job back. Hey, I want my job back. Hey, I want my job back. Can I have my job back? I want the head coaching job back. Yeah. And so finally, I think it was the coach before me. She was retiring, and he said it's up, and I said I want it. And so came in that year, was still coaching cheerleading and volleyball. So did 1 year of that. That was 19. And then 20, we had COVID hit. So we got through a season of volleyball. We wrote a grant for us to do boys volleyball at Scott. And our inaugural season was cut short because of COVID. So we were practicing, but we didn't get a chance to play. And so I got through that COVID year. And then we went into the next year of they was trying to make decisions about, are we going back in person or we not? And I didn't want the cheerleaders to suffer because of COVID. So I did one more season before resigning from the cheerleading program. So I resigned after the 2021 season, because that was when we were like, it was just so much going on. We were cheering, but we could only cheer home games. So just trying to get through that group. And then we went into girls season and then boys season with volleyball. And we had our first full season of volleyball at Scott for boys. And so we're going into our 5th season for boys volleyball this year.
How's that started? Like, how's the transition with that? How's it been going?
It's awesome. Like, so I would say we got kids. I have more boys playing in college right now than I have girls.
Wow.
So our boys are playing. They're playing on the club teams, and then they're playing on the official. So not all colleges have boys or men's volleyball as an official varsity sport. So we have, I think I have 3 players right now. So the Petersons, BJ is playing on BG's club team. It has been for a while. And they're the official club team for the school, and they go out in the tournaments and stuff. Jeremiah and Jali, they graduated 22, I want to say 20, maybe 21, and they were playing at BG, but Jeremiah transferred to UT. He's on the club team at UT, and I think Jali is still playing at BG. So we got 3 players from Scott's men's program that's playing college. And both BG and UT, they have club programs versus actual varsity teams that represent the school.
Man, when you speak of your career, man, and all what you're doing, I just consistent see the persistence in you, never giving up, never letting a situation stop you, never letting circumstance stop you. You always took the proper mentality and to have the desire to want to be able to accomplish what you set out to do. Can you speak to the youth being persistent and not giving up and going after their dreams?
Yeah, no, most definitely. So that's the one thing that I try to relate to the girls and the boys. It's like, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. All you have to do is say, this is what I want to do. Then let's sit down and make a plan. And so having just a plan of action, you asked me about the club. I was sending the girls out to TBC because that was my home club. And I mean, we talk about heaven, but I will say heaven is the reason why we have an Urban Valley 419. Her senior year, she said, Coach, where we going to play club at? And I said, well, y'all going to go out to TBC like I always send you. And she said, no, we're not. And I'm like, why aren't we? And she said, they treat us right out there. And I said, oh. I said, okay. So as soon as that came out, it was like, and I had some other conversations with some other parents of people that I give private lessons to. And it came up and I was just like, oh, okay, we need to handle this. So literally I was on the phone with Rochelle Baker, who's the head coach, or Skabinski, not Baker. But she is the head coach at Start. And so I've had her son with us with boys because her son is a volleyball player as well. And so, I've been coaching him up and she's been coaching him. And so he participated with our boys. And we were talking about it and I said, I'm ready to pull a trigger. What do you think about this? And she said, whatever you need, I'm here for you. I'm like, okay, cool. And so we kind of, went over a couple of names and I said, well, what do you think about this? And, we kind of did the back and forth. And I called her on a Friday and I said, I pulled the trigger. I've incorporated a nonprofit. I filled out the 501c3. We just waiting on this. And I got a couple of grant applications in. Like, literally it happened within like a 3-day period because Heaven said what she said. And I said, okay, you're telling me that there is a need and it's time to fill it. And I called a couple of different people and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. Are you on board? And when I say everybody that I called came to the table and said, what do you need? You know, it just all started coming together. Yeah. And so we're going into our second season of club volleyball, and that's where Toledo Urban Volleyball Association come from, because we felt that it was necessary for our kids, not just, you know, kids of color, because volleyball is a prep sport. It's expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. But we wanted to make sure that our Central City kids had access to this sport that they're not getting access to. Yeah. And even as a coach in TPS, you see the difference in what your players are doing and what they've learned. Our kids don't get volleyball until 7th and 8th grade, and just recently started getting it back at 7th and 8th grade, because that's new. You know, they're only in season 2 for 7th and 8th grade athletics. But their counterparts, their suburban counterparts, their white counterparts are touching ball starting at 10 years old. They're playing CYO, you know, and volleyball is a game of touches. You actually contact the ball for less than a second every contact. So if you think about every possession being a second, it's only 3 seconds. There's a bump, a set, and a spike. That's 3 seconds of somebody actually touching the ball. So imagine if you're not getting quality touches. That's, you know, starting at 10 years old, if you get thousands and thousands and thousands of quality touches, of course you're going to be good at something. Yeah. Of course you're going to have the skill level and be able to rise to the occasion and go on to the next level. But if you don't have access, then how are you going to be able to get it? And so that's what we're focused on just with Urban Volley is, you know, we saw a need, we focused on it, and we put together a game plan that said, this is how we're going to accomplish this. And so when you talk about kids needing something or wanting to accomplish something or wanting to, you know, really fulfill their goals and start focus on it, it's about putting together a plan. This is a plan that was literally put into motion and executed, you know, trigger pulled. Could I have pulled it way back in 2014? Yes. However, there wasn't a need. It wasn't the time. So it's putting your plan together and being ready so that when the timing is perfect, and you'll know when the timing is perfect, because you'll feel it and you'll good. Yeah. You know, you'll have that little tap on the shoulder, be like, it's time. But if you don't have that plan together, if you haven't thought it through, like, what does this look like? And it's not something that will stay the same. You know, our plans, our goals, what we reach for is always evolving, it's changing, it's moving, it's fluid. But you have to be ready for just the fact that I wrote it down. This is part of my plan. And I remember I wrote that down. This is what that was for. And so, you know, our kids have to really think about, like, you know, those things that you think about, those dreams when you're like, oh, I wanna write a book, or I write poetry, or, you know, I have done coding and I want to do a video game. Like, write those ideas down. Keep a journal of that type of stuff, because you can always go back to something that you've written and kind of expound on it a little bit more. And that's exactly what I was able to do with the volleyball club. I went back to, you know, square one. This is where I was at. This is what I've learned. If I didn't learn anything from Toledo Volleyball Club, it was how to run a nonprofit volleyball club, period. Yeah. You know, and so going back to those notes that I was taking and learning while I was doing all of that, how can I make this better, and how can I fit this into what I need it to be? Yeah. And that's really, when you ask about the club and how Urban Volley came about, and then just overall goal setting, like that's all connected. That's all full circle. Yeah, and I believe that your players is going to take on the image, the personality, and even have the mental fortitude to be able to do those things and be able to
put it to play in their everyday life. Like you're humble. Every time I talk to you, it's like humble, or if I hear different things, but you really, are putting in the work. You really are doing it and making a difference in these kids' life, not only being their coaches, but to some kids, you a form of their mother, or helping them, or a mother figure, I should say, helping them, the less fortunate, the kids that need the more attention and different things like that. And that's something that always need to be looked on, because it's other schools, they not having to worry about different things. So your struggles and your pulls, and we know that playing on and being in the school that we was in, we seen, situations that the other schools didn't have to, go through, but you didn't quit. You still said, you know what, we're going to do this, and you made it happen, and you just continuing to, excel, man. And we just thank you for doing that, because you doing it because it's inside of you. And your actions is bearing, and we see it. Like, it's just great, man, and we need more like you, like I said, man.
Thank you. And you already said that you said it, like you gonna get your flowers today, and I'm like,
Yeah, for
I
sure,
do
man.
appreciate it. It's like I don't do this for me. I do it I do it for
Yeah,
the school. I do it for these kids because I know that everybody don't have what we had, which
yeah,
is, two parents in the household growing up that push from both sides, and then just even, the siblings that we had, we got older, siblings and
yeah,
younger siblings that came behind us and just, make sure that we was right, and
yeah.
so shoot, you had auntie in the school, my mama was in the school, daddy was in the school, so like
Yeah,
everybody don't. I get it. Everybody hasn't had that opportunity, and so if I can step in and assist in any type of way, my girls know that I'll do anything for them. My boys know that I expect them to do anything for me.
facts, facts, as they
But
should.
as long as they get fed, they okay. They like food. You got
Right.
food, Cozy? Yeah, go ahead, order something. Here's my card. They Grubhub it over. Just make sure I have a like
Mhm.
boys, you get them to do anything for food. Um, but yeah, it's just I enjoy what I do. I really truly do. I'm excited about this season for the club. I'm excited about this boys season too.
Yeah.
Um, we got some heavy hitters returning. I got this 6'6" left-handed right side who's
Wow.
only a sophomore or no junior this year. But we got coaches already looking at him.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about that. Our returning, when I was looking at the roster that we should have for returning for volleyball on the girls' side, I was like, ooh, I got two sets of sisters that's
Yeah.
gonna be here for a second. Laverta's the only one graduating, and then so I got Laverta and Jade and Tanaya and Brooklyn, and they're opposite. They play the same positions, but they two sets,
Yeah.
you know, and Jay's the younger one, Willie's daughter, the
Yeah.
younger
I've been
left one.
trying to get in touch with him too, so I can get them on there, man. I've been trying to do my work and my resources, but you should just see your face, how when you talk about your players, or how you start glowing. That's how I know how much you really put into that program and your players, and just the love that you got for them. It's amazing to see.
Thank you. And so let me fix this too because they might see this. Um, it's a contract year for TPS. And when it's a contract year, everybody's job goes up and we have to reapply for our jobs. So no,
Why though?
I'm not leaving my position as Scott as the head coach. But it's a contract year. So everybody's job is up because it's a new supplemental coming out. And so we have to reapply. So as long as Dr. Smith and Mr. Peterson enjoy what I do with my programs, I'm going to be safe. I don't think I have any problems. But my kids and parents that might be worried because I look legit before I talked to you, I was talking to one of the guys who's coming on to be an assistant coach for the club. He said, "Are you leaving?" And I'm like, "No." And one of the girls called me yesterday, "Coach Z, why is your job up?" Look, why do you know that my job is up?
Wow. They don't play
But
about you.
that's right. But that's how stuff gets started, and so I'm gonna dispel that rumor.
Yeah.
My game plan is to be back at Sky High School next season, boys and girls. My application is in and received, and should be getting a phone call here in a couple of weeks here to have an interview to reapply for my job.
Yeah.
It's just a contract year, and that's how TPS works.
Yeah.
So everybody's job, but football, volleyball, all of the fall sports have been posted. Cross country, everybody got to reapply. So dispelling that rumor.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for joining us today, man. It's been great. We appreciate you, man. Continue to do the work. Continue to, pour into them kids because they need it. And it's the seeds that you sown is, blossoming. And then you got the college students now, and you got those that's getting ready to go, and they're all impacted. And when they think about Coach Z, they think about what you poured into them. Before they make a move, dang, coach already told me I shouldn't be on this. So they got the thoughts, they got the memories in the moment. So it's been great. And, thanks for this time and opportunity.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to put one more plug in for the club because we
Okay,
are a nonprofit. We do scholarship our girls, and we do a lot of our stuff based on grants. If anybody wants to contribute, you can check us out at www.urbanvolley419.org. Every little bit helps. And so if you feel so inclined, please check us out, see what we're doing. And every little bit helps. So this is my plea.
Yeah. And make sure you send it to me so I can reshare it and send it to people that I know, can do something, and I'll even, sew into it as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it because it's all for the kids.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we'll be in touch. Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you.
All right.